Hello everyone. Now back. Qualifying session. Qualifying will start very soon. I'm here just for the breaks, intermissions. Get you to the commentary stream any second. So yeah, qualifying for the big one. 24-hour will be happening any second. Just guide you a little bit through the weekend before we head to the lobby. Where are we? Friday. Qualifying day. Who will be starting pole for tomorrow's race? GT Challenge. It's the Nürburgring 24 hours. The big race it is. Have a look. It looks like drivers are nearly ready. Guide you, get you over our commentator. It's ToonNyx today. Without further ado, it's podcast.
That's nothing to worry about. So, alright. What? Let's follow V. Caspino. Pretty sure I said that right. On their outlet. Coming through the Schumacher S's. Holding it. Play. And also.
You're seeing crashed or frozen because I'm still in the pit lane.
Let me go.
I've actually got sound now. Well, when you did that, there we go.
I have no idea what happened, but all right. Coming through the chicane. That's stream from third person. All right, so bonnet cam and here. Okay. Coming through. Ooh. Taking it aggressive, but keeping a nice line. Showing why the Nords is really a tricky little bit. Because, I don't know about you, but that's a section of the track that always catches me up.
Yes, it's a very technical part of the circuit. It's one little slip up, maybe running too far over the curbs can spin out the car, but very good control from the Italian there. Yeah, on the outlet though, so you know, if he does make a mistake, it hopefully gets out the mistakes out on outlap and affect the hot lap, of course.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And coming in through what turn would this be on the circuit? That is that's a question, because there's what 130 something just in this just on this circuit if you don't count the GP layout that's included in the 24-hour layout.
Yeah, something like that. To be honest, I think it may be slightly higher. Just reading on my notes at the moment, I do believe there is 192 turns, including the F1 circuit.
Oh wow!
So, yeah. Let me confirm that for you too.
Yeah.
I do believe on the last inspection it was something around that figure, but it's an extremely long lap at Nordschleife or Nürburgring 24-hour, and certainly the drivers are going to have their wits about them and keep it as consistent as possible.
Oh, without a doubt. And for those of you tuning in, with the ERF 24 hours of the Nürburgring just under 24 hours away, we are in for a very, very interesting race as we start the first bout of qualifying. Introductions out of the way. My name is Toon. A pleasure to make your acquaintance, and joined alongside me is Flawed Genius Gaming. And we are going to be covering the qualifying for today's 24-hour race qualifying session. Now,
yes, indeed.
Yes, and we are currently on board with B. Blancaspino, who is setting a pretty solid pace. And as I'm looking at the track map, he also has a pretty sizable train of cars in tow. As we make our way down the grid, we'll take a look at Drift King RC, who also coming in quite hot. I think this is going to be one we don't want to miss. Using as much time as possible. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Flock.
Well, I was going to say, of course, drivers are on the outlap, but very important not to stick too closely to the car in front. Mistakes can be easily made, and certainly slipstream can come into play as well with the reduced aero from the car in front. So yeah, hopefully the drivers will be a little bit more spaced out by the time they come up to their hot lap. But yeah, definitely looking forward to this one. That is for sure too.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. As we jump back up to our front runner for the outlap, already just under 6 minutes and coming towards the tail end of the Nordschleife layout, I think we're going to be seeing a pretty impressive outlap, no less, and this momentum is going to carry him over to a very strong hot lap. Now, as we jump over to our cinematic, it got a little squirrely on that exit for the corner. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Tony, I've got a frozen screen at the moment, so...
You do? All right, let me see if I can fix that.
Fantastic, thank you.
Right. I think I know what the problem was, and we got that all rectified. But as we see Blancaspino coming through, approaching the, what is the name of that straight? It always eludes me. Is it is it like Dottinger? No, that's a different one. Well, either way, as we see Blancaspino approaching the straight, this is going to be one where when the hot laps start coming in, you can definitely make up some time if you can get into enough slipstream. It could honestly shave, what, maybe 1-2 tenths, maybe a quarter of a second if you're lucky?
Yes, indeed, yeah. Definitely a very, very long straight. And yeah, certainly if they're within the 1.2 second range, can make up quite a bit of difference down the straight, especially going up the hill as they're approaching right now. So we'll see what happens, but does look like Drift King just behind is just weaving from side to side, sort of trying to gap the car in front and keeping the tyres to optimal temperature as we look on board with Bianco Spino now coming around the final turn to start off his hot lap 2.
Yep, and comes across with an 8:02.879. That's a pretty solid outlap. So, given the fact that you'll be carrying more momentum, I think we could see something around the 8:05, 8:06 range for the outlap. Honestly, with how impressive that was, we could see something in the 7:58, 7:59 territory.
Yeah, definitely could be a sub 8 minute from some of these drivers. I did see from the list that we've got a lot of A+ drivers in the lineup and expecting to see their expertise around this very iconic German circuit. we'll have to wait and see. But of course, trying to keep it consistent around such a long circuit is no easy feat. But if anyone can do it, I'm sure these drivers can. So.
Oh yeah, for certain. And as we move on down the grid, let's go take a look at what car number 56 is up to at this moment. Also on their outlap. Seems like they're heading into the Schumacher S's. See how this goes. Getting a good amount of curb on the left. Nice run onto the right using all the track available. And really, that's impressive, especially in a car such as the BMW M6, which did have its moment of power for a little bit, and honestly just haven't really seen it too much outside of a select few races, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, to name a few. And as we see car number 56 coming towards the end of the GP layout and getting onto the Nordschleife. Ooh, getting really close to that wall, but my goodness, they made it look like clockwork. I have honestly no doubt that these folks have put in a lot of practice. We jump on board with car number 7 with S7R pole sitter, who is also coming towards the tail end of the GP circuit and onto the Nordschleife in the Porsche 911.
Indeed, and pole sitter, a name very familiar to me. I did mention pre-commentary that I actually raced pole sitter in the final round of the Manufacturers' Cup around Fuji. Extremely consistent driver with a lot of pace, and expecting big things from the S7R driver. That Porsche, though, certainly is very strong around this technical circuit, so expect him up the grid by the time we get to the end of qualifying, that is for sure.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Now, with the Nürburgring being the most difficult track in existence, and I do see a good selection of MR cars for this track. Do you think the MR cars have a advantage over the FR counterparts?
Quite possibly, to be honest. Yeah, there's so naturally with the MR cars tend to have a little bit more rotation going into the hairpins, and with many hairpins on this particular circuit, certainly will be stronger through the slower sections and more technical sections of this circuit. But generally MRs are worse on the tyre wear, but being as it's ×1 tyre wear, that shouldn't be an issue, Tone.
You're absolutely right, but we should also throw out that the tire compound will also make a difference. As we see, pole sitter is on the racing softs. I do have word from race control that there are some drivers on the racing mediums, such as Bianca Spino over here, and it's quite interesting to see, especially because it's a 1x fuel and 1x tire setup on these cars. So really, it's a dealer's choice when it comes to these. With the tire compounds, the only thing you really have to worry about is fuel, because this circuit is roughly, what, 15-16 miles? It's a long one, and these drivers are definitely giving it their all. And even on 1x fuel and tire, I'm already seeing a little bit of tire degradation on Bianca Spino. And as we move over to somebody such as Drift King over on the racing softs, there is some degradation there too, but it looks like the difference between the medium and the soft compound tire wear really isn't that much, isn't that drastic. So I think fuel economy is really the name of the game when selecting a car for this, more than if they eat their tires.
Yeah, I mean, I find that quite interesting though, Toon, because it does seem like Bianco Spino then perhaps will be looking to stay out on circuit a little bit longer than the soft runners. Of course, with the nature of this circuit, of course, they will have to do an out lap before they can get onto their hot lap. So Bianco feeling that the mediums are still strong enough and may be able to eke out a little bit more time on the circuit. So it'll be interested to see whether or not he can keep up with the softer runners. But yeah, certainly you can see how racy Drift King is and maximizing track limits and doing an excellent job.
Absolutely doing an excellent job. As we take a look at Drift King, who is just dancing around this circuit right now in that Nissan GTR. It is wow, that is still a powerful car. No matter what PD throws at it, it still has its time to shine in the sun. And already about 6 3/4 of a minute about to approach a straight. This could be a pretty scary hot lap and might put the might put the number 23 car in contention for if not pole, at least up in the podium. And it's going to be really cool to see how he capitalizes on everything once the track straightens out and there is the potential for slipstream range. And it looks like Drift King does indeed have some slipstream to capitalize on, and that car is just getting faster and faster. But will it be enough before the end of the straight? That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah, I mean, that could be vital for the GTR driver there because it tends to lack a little bit of straight line top speed and certainly acceleration as well. What the GTR strengths are is through the corners and being very, very good on the brakes as well. So that could gain him a little bit more time. But just coming around the final corner now, Bianco Spino temporarily P1 with an 8:02 and Drift King on pole position with an 8:01.92.
Yeah, that is a staggering time, but we still have plenty of racing left. We're not even at the halfway mark for this qualifier. So while our current pole sitter drifts it around turn 2 for the 24 layout, let's take a look at some of the other cars who have set a time. We've got Di Mantineo with a 8:02.478. We have car number 10 with an 8:03.677, and all of this is provisional, of course, because these are very much subject to change. So this is going to be a very, very close one if these are anything to go off of. Let's stay on board with car number 10 for just a few moments, see how they fare. They've got an 8:03 at the moment, and already up by almost a tenth of their previous lap time. Looks like Philo Engineering sets an 8:07, just getting used to the circuit, perfectly understandable. And coming in hot for car number 10, and yeah, holding it nice and neat. Wow, that Porsche is definitely, running a little bit wide, but keeping it all nice and neat. Well done. I don't know about you, Fluv, if that were me, I would have been spinning out the moment my wheels touched that gravel.
And just to give you an update as well, we have got a new pole sitter, and I wouldn't even know how to pronounce his name, Toon, but he is the first driver to get a sub 8 minute with a 7 minute 58.
Oh my goodness.
The Finnish driver, care for you to pronounce his name there, Toon?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. A. Hapsari. We'll go with that, setting a staggering 758.083, almost a 757. So there's still a ton of time left on this track, and that also means these drivers can really push these cars to the absolute limits and just get that time like lower and lower and get that grid closer and closer. As we actually jump on board with the Finnish driver in the BMW. That was, wow, that was an amazing lap time regardless. 3.6 or 8 seconds, my apologies, ahead of P2, and already going purple, almost up by a tenth So I think that time's going to get even lower. We might see a 7:57 on this next lap, folks. As we see the Finnish driver come through the chicane to hop onto the Nordschleife for the third time this qualifying session. Just a minute under the halfway mark. Car number 66 is definitely out to take some names if I were a betting man. So I think the other drivers might want to take some notes, and those that might be right behind the Finn, get into that slipstream and follow that line. It might get you a little extra time. You never know. And oh my goodness, using every ounce of the track available too. I think Sabine Schmidt would be very proud of how this driver is dancing around the beloved Nürburgring.
Yeah, well, of course, Sabine, though, more known for driving slightly bigger vehicles around this iconic circuit, though, I'd say, too. I think she would be absolutely delighted to take around the BMW M6 there rather than the Ford Transits. But yeah, certainly the Finnish driver doing a fantastic job at the moment. And of course, the car is going to get quicker as the tank gets lighter and lighter as he's burning away that fuel. But I have to say, that's a beautiful livery. I think he's done a great job on the team livery there.
Without a doubt. Also, I would like to note that the current pole sitter does have Go Faster stripes on the car. So say what you will, they work. With a 758, Go Faster stripes do add some horsepower, it would appear.
Yeah, I mean, definitely at least a couple of seconds per lap, I think, so. But yeah, no, certainly doing his team proud at the moment. 3.8 seconds is the lead over Drift King in P2. You know, perhaps good banker laps from the drivers behind. We'll see if they can catch the Flying Finn. But yeah, certainly good start from the Finn. I'm going to keep calling him the Finn because I don't want to mispronunciate his name just in case we offend anyone. So, yeah, certainly with another, was it 20 minutes to go in qualifying? So potentially a good couple of laps to go for the drivers to improve their lap times too.
Oh yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. But we do see the Flying Finn into some traffic. Oh, look at that! The car moved over to allow the Finn through. That is wonderful sportsmanship. That is that really warms your heart to see. So that actually negates the question I was going to ask if the traffic might hinder any potential faster laps, and looks like it didn't hinder it by much, only 0.04 of a second. But that's also because the driver in front was yielding to the faster car. And now look at it. The car that did let the Finn through is now quite close and going to use that slipstream, maybe trying to chip away at their own time. So it was a very well calculated and very respectful move from what I've seen. And look at that, now a 10th up on their fastest lap. Yeah, we're going to see a 7:57. We may even see something lower. This is going to be a great one. As we jump on over to Drift King, we'll let the Finn do their thing for the time being. Currently 6.5 minutes in on their lap, and honestly, they're flying. Just about a quarter of a tank left on their in their car. Not a lot of tire wear to speak of, and oh, the Finn is in the pits.
Yeah, may have been a slight error from the Finn, and recognising as well that we've got 17 minutes left of quali, and of course you do need to do an out lap before they can progress onto the hot lap. So could be a wise decision there for the Finn. What I was going to ask you, Toon, is how is the Italian getting on in P3? Of course, Bianco Spino on the medium tyres.
I'm sorry, Flaw. GSR0 just set a staggering 8 minutes. So we have a new P2 setter for the time being. And as we jump on board with Bianco Spino, 7.5 minutes into the lap, coming towards the end of the straight. And looks like a less than stellar run this go around, but there's still plenty of time to qualify left. So we'll see how that shapes up in their favor as we come into the second half of the qualifying session. And going into the pits as well, probably getting some fresh, maybe getting some fresh rubber. Maybe, yeah, I'd say maybe some more fuel as well. But let's go take a look at GSR Zero, who is in the McLaren 650S, car number 64, and is currently 2.5 seconds just under behind our current pole sitter. And honestly, if I'm the pole sitter with a time like that, I'd be relaxing a little bit myself. That's definitely a time to be proud of. And I mean, any other car behind me is gonna honestly have their work cut out for them trying to catch that or even beat that, let alone. What do you think, Vlad?
Yeah, well, just in response to the Italian Bianca Spino sitting in P4 right now, I'll be surprised if he doesn't go onto the soft tyres after seeing some of the absolute rapid times set from the drivers in front of him. As Philo goes up into P2, I didn't see exactly what time he got there. Toon, he's 1.9 seconds off, so he's just under the sub 8 minute with a 7:59.9. So yeah, probably a wise decision for the Italian sitting now in P5 to get on to the softer of the compounds and really seeing what he is capable of producing in qualifying.
Oh yeah, I agree. And that Mercedes, that's the newer AMG, if I'm remembering correctly. That's with honestly a stunning comic book style livery on it. That 759 is a really, really good time and setting another blue sector. So there's still time to be had in that AMG. The car's getting lighter, which means it could get a little zippier, but I don't know. The way the weight affects the handling of the car, especially in a circuit such as this one, there's too many variables for me to give a concrete, oh, the car will be faster or the car will be more unpredictable or anything like that. But as we jump over to Zero, who is 3 minutes into their lap and just really using everything they can out of that McLaren. The 650S is actually one of the more common cars you see these days, is it not? Or at least it was in the manufacturer series from everybody's broadcast I was seeing, right?
Yes, the McLaren is a good all-rounder. Certainly very good in the corners. Of course, it is an MR as well, so should be pretty good on rotation on some of the slower slower corners. And I'd say probably a medium speed down the straights as well. Certainly is a good car in the wet conditions as well. Now, luckily for the drivers, it seems to be pretty dry out there. But I would imagine when it comes to the actual 24-hour race, it has been known that there is sometimes it can be 4 seasons in one day, being the location of the circuit in the forests, of course. So we'll obviously that's a discussion for another day. But yeah, certainly the McLaren a very solid choice, and Cyro doing it justice currently in P3 at the moment too.
Without a doubt, and already 1 second over, actually 1 seconds up on their previous fastest lap, so they could be coming for that pole position if this lap keeps coming together nicely. So we'll have to come and check on Zero here shortly as we jump on down to Welsh Great down in P10, driving a BMW of their own. Currently has a fastest lap of 8:04.956, a very respectable time, sure faster than what I can pull off on this circuit, and is really revving the car to the absolute limit, which I think is the proper way to drive this car, if I'm remembering how power band and everything works correctly.
Just looking at chat as well, sorry, Toon. Apparently Pole Sitter is on a fast lap at the moment. He hasn't actually recorded a lap time as of yet. Is there a possibility we can get onto Pole Sitter? I would imagine he must be getting quite close to the end of the lap. In fact, he is midway through the lap, actually. Yeah, certainly looking quite strong. And as I alluded to at the start of the broadcast, Pole Sitter, an extremely fast driver and very capable. And I would be expecting him to be closer to the front, but of course, not doing an injustice to all the other drivers in the field at the moment. But yeah, certainly with my experiences on the game, certainly we'll be rooting for him, and best of luck to him, of course. But yeah, looking very solid at the moment, and we'll see if he can get a sub 8-minute time.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Pole Sitter could, and Pole Sitter does seem to have a good conga line of cars ahead of him, though, so that might play a factor depending on how quickly they can catch up to any cars up ahead. But this is a Porsche 911 RSR. It's looking pretty light right now and has virtually no tire wear to speak of. And looks like there is one car up ahead, and I think utilizing the slipstream for a good chunk of the circuit will be a wise move, as we see Pole Sitter using all the track available, moving from curb to curb, trying to cover as much surface area and carry the momentum as they come into, what is that, the full carousel, or was that the mini carousel? Into a carousel-esque corner we will go. And making their way on through, and into a chicane bit. Yep, this is definitely shaping up to be a solid lap so far, just under 5 3/4 of a minute. And wow, it seems everywhere we look, there's a gear change happening. So I think Pole Sitter's really giving it full throttle right now, because it's just can't even pin down what they're doing. Oh, and Ciro has set a new lap time of a 7:59.4.
Yeah, it looks like he's just beaten Philo by half a second. So the Americans certainly flying in these closing stages of qualifying. And yeah, sets a 7-minute 59.4. Still a good 1.4 seconds off of the Finn, currently on pole position. And notice he's been sitting in the pits for quite a bit of time. So certainly feeling confident that perhaps he may end qualifying on pole position. But I'm pretty sure as we see Ciro going into the pits, so certainly Philo and company may have something to say about that, and particularly as we're on board with Pole Sitter at the moment. Of course, he's not going to be happy with P14, so looking to produce the best lap possible for the start of tomorrow's race. Yeah, just coming around the final corner to get onto the long straight.
Ooh,
and he does have a car in front of him as well, too.
Yep, it looks like there's plenty of slipstream to be had here. Those of you just tuning in, we are at the closing 7 minutes of qualifying session number 1, I should say, for the Nürburgring 24-hour race. Toon, Flawed Genius Gaming, pleasure to have your company this evening. And we are on board with SMR Pole Sitter, who sets a 7:41 coming through the penultimate time check. So this does have potential to be a pretty decent, 8:04 time, maybe, Flawed? Actually, maybe even less.
It's going to be there or thereabouts, I think. And yeah, just coming across the line now. It's an 8:03.9, so very close there, Toon, to your prediction, but up into P10, just 1/1000th of a second from Tim in P9, the American. And we've got someone in chat saying car number 12 coverage, please.
Car number 12?
Car number
Can do.
So we've got the PRT driver in the Lamborghini, and surely this will be the final lap or the final chance for him to propel his position up the grid. Currently fastest lap time is a 8:07.6, which was his previous lap as well. So looking to go a bit better on this lap and maybe aim for that top 10 qualifying position. It does look like quite a number of the drivers are now sitting in the pits, but yeah, certainly, very competitive field out there too.
Oh yeah, it's a very competitive field, and it looks like P1 will be able to rest on their laurels for this qualifying session, as people have come close, but nobody's been able to beat that 758.083. As we watch car 12 go through the chicane and onto the Nordschleife for the final time this qualifying session. Actually, a really nice livery on that Lamborghini as well, if I am honest. It seems Welsh Great is in the pits, so I think a lot of the drivers are sitting here and quite happy with the times they have set so far. And with the Lamborghini, to me, is actually a pretty unorthodox choice, because it's really not one that you see these days. People are more likely to pick the Ferrari 458 Italia, the Porsche 911, the Audi R8, things like that. So seeing a Lamborghini in this grid is actually quite interesting. It looks like the Porsche right behind the Lamborghini may have flashed their headlights, or that might have just been the sun reflecting off. It's really hard telling, but it looks like P12 does have enough fuel to get them through the remainder of this lap, so they do have plenty of time to set a better qualifying lap. Nope, that was a flashing of the headlights from the Porsche. So we will have to see what the Lamborghini does in response. I believe that might be the headlights of, hey, I'm coming in hot, need you to move over. Oh, and looking at that gap getting smaller, yeah, that is definitely the case. So we will see what the Lamborghini responds with here in just a couple moments, Vlad.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Speaking of the Lamborghini, yes, you're right. Not many people do pick the Lamborghini. It's certainly for those that are British and know all about Marmite. It's certainly like a Marmite car. You either love it or you hate it. And in the right hands, the Lamborghini can be an absolute weapon. But yeah, certainly for me, I've never really got on with it. It's certainly a car that likes to rotate, but getting that fine balance between having it under control and not having it under control is certainly a fine balance, and I find it quite tricky. But yes, you are right that the Porsche behind is closing that gap to the Lamborghini driver. And very difficult to pass on this circuit. So hopefully the Lamborghini driver in PRT Kapperman is fully aware of this and will move over accordingly in a safe position, of course, as the car behind does flash his lights one more time. So we'll see what happens here soon.
Yeah, it's going to be a waiting game, but I think there might be a segment up ahead where Lamborghini will be able to yield to the faster car. I don't know how the systems work for failing to yield or anything like that, but I wouldn't want to take my chances if I was the Lamborghini driver, as they are currently flying on towards the mini straight, which is a perfect opportunity for the Porsche driver to make the overtake stick and carry on with their lap. Oh wow, hitting right up the chuff. So as we are approaching the final bout of qualifying. We only have about a minute and a half left of qualifying. Everybody's going to have to start giving it their all if they want to make a sizable impact on the grid and get their fellow drivers. Oh, that was a questionable move. I don't really know who to. Ooh, flash in the headlights. That might be in frustration. Yeah, I do not blame the Porsche driver on that one. Oh, that could have gone wrong very fast. What do you think, Flood?
Yeah, I mean the Italian has had fair warning now that this driver was fast approaching him and has failed to yield, to be honest, and could have been a catastrophe going into that corner. Luckily, they were able to keep it on the track and fight to live another day. But of course, that would have slowed both of the drivers up, and who knows, that may have cost them a position or two. Yeah, certainly on this part of Nordschleife as well. This is the technical part, so pretty much is you're not going to make overtakes on this part of the circuit. Actually, is one of my favourite parts of the circuit because there's such a great ebb and flow to this section, of course. And I'm sure many of the Nordschleife or Nürburgring lovers out there agree with me. But yeah, I don't know. I know that this is the final lap for the drivers and the all-important lap, but I would have thought that the Lamborghini driver would have moved aside and, in a safe place where he wouldn't lose too much time and the Porsche driver could carry on with his qualifying lap there. But it isn't to be. It isn't to be. Have we got any other drivers nearer to the finish line, Toon?
Well, we have S7R pole sitter behind the Lamborghini. Let's take a look at car 13 with Jay Savella, another Finnish driver. Ooh, I like that livery. Current fastest lap is an 809.587. Looks like there's plenty of clean track ahead. And it looks like Bianca Spino has set their final lap, and they do it with an 802.138. So they were able to set a new fastest lap at the closing moments of qualifying. As we move on down to the Porsche in car 10, who is about to near the end of their qualifying session. 8 minutes, getting some hang time for it with an 802.5. That was some showmanship. I like that.
Yeah, that certainly was doing it in style. Also, as well, in between that, there was another Italian that moved up into P5 with an 8-minute 1 second time as well, as we are on board with the Lamborghini driver and pole sitter as well. Just coming across the line, pole sitter improves by 0.3 of a second but remains in P10, and the Lamborghini driver in Kapperman will stay in P12. Have we got anyone else on track? Is it Tim Law? Is it? I think P9 or 7. Or...
I think that's...
No, he's ended. Yeah. I think there's one more driver. There might be one more driver, is there?
One more driver? Let me see here. No, I'm not seeing anybody at the further section of the track, so I definitely think that's all she wrote.
Right, okay.
Yep, coming through the hazards, pit, hazards. Yeah, that's...
Savila was the last one to come across the line there with an 8-minute 6 seconds. I'm not sure where that puts him.
Let's see here. Savila... Oh, there we go.
P13.
Savila with an 806.6. Not a bad lap, all things considered. But with pole sitter's time, it does beg the question, if there wasn't the Lamborghini aggressively defending in qualifying, do you think pole sitter could have been closer to the top 5 in times? How different do you think it could have been?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, as you can see from the qualifying times there, not much time between, let's just say from P5 downwards. So you're talking about a matter of 2 seconds between P5 and pole sitter, who finished in P10. So yeah, it could have, we don't know, do we? That's the beauty of it. But yeah, certainly, yeah, if he had got past the Italian, yeah, he may have risen up a couple of positions. But yeah, take it away with the confirmed qualifying times.
Sounds good. As we take a look at the classified results for the first bout of qualifying for round 2 of the Endurance Racing Federation's 24-hour of the Nürburgring race, we have A. Hepsari. I'm gonna, if that's not how you pronounce it, my sincere apologies. Taking pole with an astounding 758.083, and we did see them go up in their sector times, so there is a 57 in that car. Followed very closely by GSR Zero in P2, followed by Philo Engineering rounding out our podium for the starting grid. Making our way down to the order, we have Drift King with an 8-minute.085, followed by G Mentaneo with an 801.659, rounding out our top 5 for qualifying. Moving on down the grid, we have V Bianco Spino with an 802.138. We have the Porsche 911 of I can't read that, I'm sorry. With a 802.581, followed by Cross in P8 with an 802.726. That's less than a quarter of a second separating them. Really, there's just over half a second separating P6 and P8. As we move on down the grid to P9, with Tim Lohr in the BMW M6 GT3 Endurance Model 2016 with an 803.653, with S7R pole sitter rounding out our top 10 for the starting grid with an 803.678. That's just over 0.02 of a second separating them. That is blisteringly close. Down in P11, we have Welsh Great in the BMW M6 Endurance Model with an 804.956, followed by PRT Caparoman in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 with an 806.455. Moving on down the grid, we have Jay Savella with an 806.650, and Wesley in the Lexus RCF GT3, rounding out our starting grid with an 807.912. And there will be driver changes, so these times not only affect these drivers, but the drivers' teammates as well. It was a very, very well done qualifying session, if I do say so myself.
Yes, indeed. But, you know, obviously bear in mind as well that this is just qualifying. I did see a couple of comments from Endurance Racing Federation, the boss of this channel, of course. So it does look like a couple of drivers have been eliminated from this series through the qualifying session, which I wasn't actually aware of. But yeah, certainly, as I was alluding to, obviously it's a 24-hour race ahead of us tomorrow. So whilst, you know, certain drivers look good in qualifying and maybe some missed opportunities from some of the other drivers behind them, but a lot can happen in 24 hours, and certainly, you know, very excited for that one tomorrow too. Yeah, it gives us an insight of how far some of the drivers are, and yeah, certainly that was a very exciting qualifying session to witness.
Oh, indeed. And we're not done yet, because we will have Super Pole coming up very soon. So those of you watching at home, please go grab a snack, grab a drink, run to the bathroom, do whatever you need to do, and then get right back here for some more qualifying action, because we are far from done. Now let's go and I want to go and take another look at these classified results, because, oh, that's perfectly okay. Now Super Pole should shape up to be interesting. Say what?
Are we stopped, are we?
I do not believe so.
Oh. Okay.
But while we wait for Super Pole to be underway, is there anything that really caught your eye during that first bout of qualifying, barring the interesting behavior or the interesting interaction between pole sitter and the Italian.
Yeah. So yeah, it's obviously it's a little bit controversial. How can I put it, Toon? So I think if I was the driver in front, I probably would have let through the driver behind, knowing that he had a little bit more pace, and if perhaps slowing down just before a corner, maybe getting on the brakes a little bit earlier just to let him through, would have minimised the time lost. But I will say this though, that of course the car in front, has every right to defend his line and try to produce the best time that he can do. But there can be advantages by letting people through, because of course then you will have the slipstream to the car in front, so you will gain a little bit more speed at the expense of a little bit less aero into the corners. Yeah, it's kind of 50-50 really, Tone, on that one. It's I sort of understand the emotions the Italian would have gone through, because of course that was the final lap of the qualifying session, so he really wanted to make it count. But I think in the end though, it may have just backfired on him with that interaction with the pole sitter. So yeah, hard one to call really, too.
Yeah, it is definitely a hard one to call, because no matter how you spin it, there was a bunch of stuff that could have been done differently, and just this, that, and the other. So many different factors, and it looks like we will be getting ready to jump into it with our top 7 drivers for Super Pole. This one will be a 30-minute qualifying session for Super Pole, and it will be with 1 times fuel, 1 times tire, and 50 liters of fuel as before. There is also a heavy mechanical damage, so these drivers really have to be careful. And looks like we are about to get underway. And as we get, whoops, I accidentally hit the wrong button. That is entirely on me. We've got Bianca Spino heading out of the pits at this moment, and will be leading the pack once again. Actually this does raise a very important question, since the top 7 do have a shot at Super Pole. Do you think there's going to be drivers putting a little more gusto behind their lap times? Do you think they're going to just shoot for consistency? If I was sitting up towards the front of the grid in like P1, 2, or 3, I'd be aiming for consistency than trying to shatter any lap records.
Yeah, well, not according to the Italian that we're on board with, because he's on the medium tyres at the moment. So, for me, quite a strange strategy. Although, perhaps thinking maybe, better off getting a banker lap in and maybe switching over to the soft tyres. I don't know, to be honest, because as we alluded to, the tyre wear is set to ×1, so it shouldn't really affect the cars, even though we know the Audi R8 Evo is pretty hard on its tyres. But yeah, certainly wanting to go on the harder of the compounds. So we'll have to see how he gets on. But yeah, certainly the times were very close between the top 7 drivers there. The Finn, although was the outright leader by a good sort of 2.5 in Quali 1, but yeah, it's a second chance for these 7 drivers to go quicker, and we'll see what happens to him.
Yeah, without a doubt. And with Bianca Spino being on the mediums, I'm starting to think it might just be that compound is more beneficial to their car and the setup that they have, as opposed to something that's gonna get them a faster lap, but kind of be more of a glass cannon in a sense, because with the medium compounds on a car that is more aggressive on its tires, you're not setting any world records, but, and there's a big but there, you can aim for the consistency that some drivers on a softer compound with a car just aggressive on the tire wear will have. And it's going to be interesting to see when the race fully kicks off tomorrow, how this all shapes up for the drivers. Because if it's got driver changes, these drivers must be running the same setup, if I am guessing correctly. So they've all had to put in rigorous training. They've all had to discuss, okay, this works for me, this doesn't work for me, and things of that nature. And let's take a look over with Drift King Row in the GTR on the soft compounds. So we've got 1 medium, 1 soft, 2 soft, 3 soft, 4 soft, 5 soft. Okay, so Biancospino is the only one on the medium compounds, which definitely shows that the Italian and their team really has something in mind for all of this. And qualifying is really just going to be a sampling of what is available, or what they have in store for the actual 24-hour race when it does kick off. And I don't know about you, Flawed, but if I was in this qualifying session, I do see there's several cars that are bunched up and just, ready to get their hot laps going, because it is a shorter qualifying time. Even with that information in mind, I don't think I would be really charging out the gates to get the hot laps underway. I think I'd be more at the back of the pack trying to get as much free track as possible, just because this is an extremely dangerous track, both in-game and in real life.
Yeah, well, I'm just reading on the chat right now, and they make some interesting points, actually. So one thing we didn't take into consideration was the wind change. So the wind has changed direction slightly, and speed as well. Plus, as well, the car setups as well. Certainly Dude, probably more experienced and probably has a little bit more know-how than I do when it comes to car setups, but that will explain a lot. So in terms of, I mentioned about the Italian being on the medium tyres. So according to Dude, the mediums does allow a more flexible setup, more rearward weight, more front downforce, less rear downforce, at the expense of mechanical grip at low speed. So appreciate you explaining this to us, Dude. I wasn't 100% aware of the complete specs of the cars and what the drivers were able to change. So yeah, that does actually make sense. And certainly can make a big difference in terms of the Audi R8, which of course we know is an MR car, and a lot of its weight does get shifted about. Certainly quite a heavy machine, and it's could be invaluable to the way that the Italian gets around the circuit. So yeah, certainly very interesting to see what the Italian can do in qualifying. But he does look pretty solid on this outlap, and looks rather competitive. So expecting big things from him here. But yes, you are right, Toon. A shorter qualifying session. So therefore, a lot really does ride on this qualifying session, and they really do need to nail on these laps and make every corner count. So yeah, Toon, any predictions ahead of this qualifying session for you?
Well, we saw what the Finn was capable of in the actual qualifying session, and we did also see that the Finn does have time still left on the track. So I think we might see a change in time for Hapsari, where we might see a 57 lap time, or just something that is extremely close to what we saw during the first qualifying session. And since there is setups on here, that is also a huge game changer, because these drivers and their teammates and the viewers will all have information that we were not aware of, which means that any insights for this, we definitely welcome with open arms. Please enlighten us. If there's anything you think that we could benefit from knowing, be it how the setups are different for like one team to another, you know, anything like that, without revealing too much sensitive information. You don't want to reveal your hand all at once. But yeah, just little bits and bobs of insight is very welcome to us up here in the commentary booth, as we jump back on board with Philo Engineering in the Mercedes, at an outlap of 8:13.134. Almost went full Irish with how I was saying 13, and is honestly probably out here to set a better lap time than previously. And speaking of lap times, let's see what's going on with the Finn with the Go Faster stripes. Already set an outlap of 8:07.852. The wind conditions are different. Wind direction has changed and has slowed down a little bit, so that tailwind won't be as beneficial as it was. But that also means the headwind won't be as prevalent, so you could make up some time in some sections that you were a little slower in the last bout. It's a guessing game, really. Coming over through the we've already gone through the Schumacher S's. There's this bit, I don't remember the corner names for this. There's too many. Oh no, it looks like the Finn is coming up to the Schumacher S's. My apologies. So we will check on them here shortly as we jump on down to the Porsche car number 10 in whatever character that is. And it looks like they have a ton of clean air, and they're on their outlap at the moment, 3.5 minutes in, and it looks like they're just about halfway through. So we might see a pretty low 8-minute time from the Italian in car number 10, as they are just dancing around, getting their bearings about them, getting those tires properly up to temp. And yeah, it's the top 7 from the previous qualifying session, so this is where the real shakeups can indeed happen. Coming into the braking zone, holding it nicely, ABS doing its job as it should be, and moving on out of the curb, getting on the throttle a little bit early to capitalize on some exit speed. That is a masterclass right there. All of these drivers are insanely quick. There's some names in here that I recognize, that Flawed recognizes, names Flawed's gone up against. So, like, this is a creme de la creme of drivers, and that's really what you want for an endurance race such as this. And as the track loads in, that the Porsche is literally going faster than the track can render. So that should be very telling for all of you at home. But,
yeah, that was some alien technology there, Toon.
Yeah, it's alien technology. It's witchcraft. It's voodoo. It's whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, it's some insane speed from this Porsche driver. Coming into the braking zone, holding it nicely, and I think we're actually heading towards the, I think we're in the section that's in the license test. Yep, this is the section from the license test. This is literally the only section of the track I actually know, because I failed that license test so many times.
Yeah, it's very important on the carousel to take the inside line, the sloped section. Certainly a lot slower and less grippy as well, actually, on the flattened outside line. It can be very easy to get it wrong at the same time as the Italian spins out. Touched the put a wheel on the grass. That spun him sideways. Did really well actually to keep hold of the car there, but that would have lost him. So well, actually, to be honest, it's his outlap, so it's not so much of a problem, but could have been catastrophic though had he have not kept control of the car there. Yeah, certainly does live to fight another day. But yeah, just a little warning of when you're not quite concentrated, or a little bit too relaxed on this circuit, of course. Yeah, of course they got 24 hours of this tomorrow. So maybe not each driver, of course, but yeah, certainly. A circuit that can quite easily catch you out, as an example there too.
Oh yeah,
and I was just about to say, and more importantly, no damage as well.
Yes. Yeah, with that heavy damage on, that could have been catastrophic, because that would have meant the Italian would have had to go into the pits and repair that damage and have to do yet another lap, another outlap, as we are very steadily approaching the halfway mark for this Super Pole qualifying session. And I think having to go and run yet another outlap would be extremely detrimental, especially if you're trying to make some last-minute shakeups in the starting grid. But we should also throw out that thankfully there were no other cars there when the Italian did unfortunately lose grip, so there was no collateral damage. And looks like the Italian is getting onto the racing line, setting themselves up for the corner at the end of the straight, maybe trying to gain a little bit more exit speed and momentum using the undulations of the track. And as we're looking at this cam, the track looks wider than it actually is for these drivers. So I don't think the TV camera does this any justice in showcasing how dangerous this circuit is. And coming across the line for the outlap with about an 8:06 is what it said on the little time thing. And
yeah,
it goes to show that spin did cost several precious seconds, because he did have to stop the car and or at least get the car pointing in the right direction to save it. And if there was damage, that could have been even worse. As we go and take a look at car number 4. Go ahead, Fletzart.
Yeah, I was just about to say, is there any drivers on their actual official hot laps? Because, of course, that Porsche driver will need to, do a whole lap for his hot lap, of course. The Italian that we're on board with, it's the Nissan GTR, I believe, isn't it?
Yes.
Goes wide, hits the barrier. Lucky not to pick up damage there, but that would have lost him a fair chunk of time with some dirty tyres to boot as well. He got away with one there, but noticing that he has kind of ruined it there, so he did slow down and try to push off the dirt off his tyres. Is there a driver in front of him, Toon? Just going down the straight?
I do believe so. Let's see here. Yep, there was...
Bianco Spino just coming across the line with the 8:02, but Drift King on provisional pole position with an 8:09, and as Philo comes across the start-finish line 9, now just sneaks into P2 with an 8-minute and... was it 8:01, isn't it, for Philo? So nice early lap there from Philo, showing good pace there too.
Yeah, that was indeed a really good lap, and 8:01.16 is definitely not one to scoff at. As we take a look over at Bianca Spino, who just went purple in that sector. We'll have to keep an eye on them here shortly. And taking a look down at Mantaneo in the GTR with the 8:07.553. still plenty of room to get that time down, as we have 13 minutes just of qualifying ahead of us, and the Finn sets the 7:57.845. Look at
Wow.
that. That is an amazing time, just about 2/10 faster than what they set in the previous qualifying session. So that's gonna be a tough one to beat. 3 seconds ahead of P2 in Drift King. That's I don't know. How would you be feeling after setting an insane lap time like that?
I mean, to be fair, Toon, I mean, this is one of the circuits I really adore, but yeah, you are talking kind of near enough well-taught driver pace there. You know, it's no easy feat to go a sub 8 minute, but 7:57.8, yeah, that is a time not to be scoffed at. 2.5 seconds quicker than GSR Cyro, who finds himself now in P2.
Yeah, so there is still an opportunity for that gap to get down even further. And 2.5 seconds, like at the moment, that seems really good. But how will it fare when the proper race starts? Because that 2.5 seconds could definitely change in an instant, especially if you factor in things such as weather, the time of day change, where the track will get cooler, wind direction changes. These times definitely aren't the end-all be-all. It just gets you a good start when the race actually happens. Everybody's got to be on the same page. Everybody has to know what to do, when to do it. They have to pretty much prep for the worst and hope for the best. And as we see our pole sitter going for another lap, maybe trying to get that time down even more. Yeah, actually, yeah, already 2/10 faster than before. Are we going to see a 57.5 by the end of this lap? Only time will tell. As we take a look at Drift King with the 8-minute .903, also moving up in terms of lap time. Were you going to say something, Fluck?
Well, I was just about to say, responding to some of the, it seems like we've got a lot of Finnish fans in chat. Does feel that there is a 7:55 possible for the Finn on track.
Really?
So, yeah, so, you know, we're in absolute awe of that time that he's just set. But yeah, apparently capable of even quicker. So would absolutely love to see that. And, you know, let's see if he can. But yeah, certainly on this second lap from him, seems to be pushing even harder and eking out a little bit more out of the car. So we'll see if he can keep up with this consistency and push out an even faster time there too.
Yep. Okay. Okay. I think we've hit the stage where we're cursing people on accident, Flawed. That's the third one this session. Well, welcome to the first and last. Yeah, welcome to the first and last broadcast of Toon and Flawed. It was a pleasure. Because, good God, we're cursing people all over again. As we jump on board with GSR Zero, who is almost half a second up on their fastest. Actually, that was the .437 they needed to get an 8-minute dead. That is interesting. And Zero has a ton of clean air ahead. So that time's going to just keep going down and down as this lap progresses. We are only 9 minutes away from the end of this qualifying session. So it's slowly approaching make or break time. Looks like some cars will be able to get an extra lap in, judging by their placement on the... Actually, yeah, all the cars will be able to get probably 1 lap extra in after this, given their placement on the circuit, because it's 8.5 minutes left. Oh yeah, plenty of time. So they'll have this and probably 1 more shot. So I don't think any of the drivers should feel discouraged about about their times. I mean, they're all in the top 7 for qualifying, so this is just icing on the cake. And looks like Philo Engineering has gone into the pits happy with a P4 maybe, or possibly just getting some stuff rectified. Who knows? We will stay on board with Zero for just another moment as they come through this little tricky bit of the circuit. hopping on the curb, but not taking too much curb to cause any sort of spin out. So that's great track awareness from Ciro right there. We jump back on board to see how the Finn is faring. They are flying and they are taking no prisoners right now. About 5.5 minutes in on their lap. Oh, go ahead.
I was just about to say, just to let you know, with Philo, that'll be it done for Philo for this qualifying session. We'll be hoping he can stay in P4 because we have only 8 minutes left of this qualifying session, so not enough time for him to get out onto his hot lap. As Sakura has just set a lap time there, Toon, 8 minute 2.8, I believe that was from him.
802.830. And I should throw out, the Finn is currently, oh boy. Okay, had some camera issues for a second. That was really weird. The Finn is 3/4 of a second up on their fastest lap, so we might see a 7:56 right here. I should just throw that out there. That is a staggering time. Look at that BMW go.
Yes, I mean, the BMW is very much suited for a circuit like this, especially through the most recent BOP update. Now, of course, I know these drivers have got setups at their disposal, but yeah, certainly in the right hands, the BMW is an extremely capable car, and the Finn is certainly showing what this BMW is capable of. And as you said, so he's absolutely flying around here using every inch and pixel of the circuit as he comes flying down the straight. He has gone 8/10 purple, so at that rate it will be a low 7 minute 57, may even creep into the 7 minute 56 range. So definitely keep an eye on this one, too.
Oh yeah, we will follow this car to the checkered line. 8.873 up right now. That is at this moment that is 756 territory, but still 756 territory. They come on in, making sure to take a safe line through and out onto the start-finish straight and giving it everything it's got. Coming across the line with a 7:56.807. My goodness.
Wow.
Yeah. That is a scary good time. That is indeed World Tour level. That is World Tour level time. We might want to check their credentials. That might be a World Tour driver we're looking at.
Yeah, he may have some super driver behind the wheel of that car, that is for sure. Ciro is the next person closest to him, currently 3.6 seconds down on him in P2. But I have been told that he's on his personal best, and in fact he has gone 1.3 seconds better off from the previous lap time as he approaches the final sector of his lap. We'll see. Well, pretty certain he will get a sub-minute 8 minutes, but I don't think it's going to be enough to catch the Finn on pole position. So he will remain in P2, but he does better his lap by 1.3 seconds to produce a 7-minute 59.4, which is still an insane lap time there too.
Oh yeah, that is an ungodly lap time. And it looks like Ciro might be pretty happy with that lap time. I would be if I were him, because Jesus. As we take a look at Drift King in P3, has 1.8 seconds to shave to take over the P2 spot from GSR Ciro, and is already 8/10 off. So there is a shot, folks. This GTR might be able to either get within an earshot, more of an earshot than they already are, of P2, or they might be able to dethrone P2. So this is shaping up to be real interesting. It looks like we have cars 4 and 5 sitting in the pits as we take a look at car 6 in Bianco Spino, who is about 2 3/4 of a minute into their fourth lap. Yeah, third hot lap, and almost 3/4 of a second up. moving our way over to the Porsche driver, who is about at the halfway mark for their lap. Current fastest lap is an 8:02.830. That is definitely nothing to scoff at, and almost 8/10 up. So they might be on track for an 8:01 in these closing moments of the Super Pole qualifying session. Looks
yes,
like...
indeed, yeah. Sorry, I was just about to say, indeed, you can see that the 7 drivers are absolutely pushing to their very, very limits. I know that we have got 3 or maybe 4 drivers that will be sitting in the pits. I know the Finn is out there at the moment, but I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time to complete the next lap. We'll see. Do you know what? He may... I'm not sure what the cool down time is, but he may have enough time to produce, or is he just cruising around? It looks like he's just cruising around, I think.
You know, after a time like that, I'd be giving myself a little bit of a Sunday drive myself. That is...
He's waving the national flag, isn't he? That's what he's doing.
Yep, waving the flag, celebrating, getting the bubbly out. Yeah, thinking, all right, this is gonna be a pretty good one. But let's jump over to the car on a hot lap for the moment.
Yes, indeed. So, as in chat, we have got 3 other drivers that are on flying laps at the moment. We're on board with Drift King, who seems to be going quicker than his previous best, which is 8:09. He is he's just under a second quicker than his previous best. So it's looking like, if he can keep this pace, to be producing a sub 8-minute time, which is phenomenal in my eyes. So you know, fingers crossed for the Canadian that he can keep it consistent and smash his personal best time. Yeah, 9.5 tenths quicker at the moment, with about a third of a lap to go. So he definitely looks on course to smash that time. He will have to go some, though, to leapfrog GSR Zero, though, who currently holds that P2. But what are your thoughts, Toad?
Really, I'm agreeing 100% with what you're saying. Now, Drift King is definitely giving it everything possible, because this is the well, actually, we've just hit the 30 mark for the qualifying session, so this will be the final lap, and this is really a race to the finish line now. And if Drift King can keep this momentum going, there is a solid chance of maybe dethroning Zero in P2, but there are no guarantees in motorsport. You won't really know how everything shapes out until that checkered flag drops and they come across the line. As we see Drift King 0.8 of a second up on their fastest lap, not quite enough to shake up the standings at the last moment, but it's still an extremely respectable time, and will put a solid gap between himself and P4 in Philo Engineering. Now making our way over to Bianca Spino, who is behind Drift King, also on their final lap, and looks like does have some of the momentum to go. Ooh, and it looks like car number 10 has went and set a 8:01.599 for their final lap of the Super Pole qualifying session. Very well done to you. Now, will Bianca Spino be able to get themselves out of P7 and further up on the grid? We will have to see here shortly, as they are about at the 7-minute mark and heading towards the start-finish straight, and they also have Drift King not too far ahead of them in the grand scheme of it, who is heading towards the straight for the final time themselves with the fuel light flashing. Let's see how this is shaping up coming into the time check, and 0.796 up. We're looking pretty nice right here, folks, and Drift King could indeed get about 0.9 seconds up, maybe a whole second up on his personal fastest lap, depending on how this run through the straight goes. And I'm curious if Bianca Spino has enough gap between... Yep, there we go, 0.9 seconds. Look at that. As we see Drift King coming into the... what would this be, like a sort of chicane bit? Either way,
yeah.
coming coming onto the start-finish straight for the final time this qualifying session. And it looks like we will be seeing them set a 7:59.955, and Bianco Spino comes across the line with an 8:01.577, or 557, my apologies. That definitely got them into P6, but only by not even 0.05 of a second. So it's going to be a close bout between the teams of, well, these two Italian teams, really. And as we jump on board with our pole sitter, enjoying a lovely Sunday drive around the Nürburgring, I'd be able to rest my head knowing that was an amazing lap. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Super Pole definitely had its fair share of surprises. So let's go and take a look at the classified standings for Super Pole, shall we? So, retaining pole position will be A. Hapsari with a insanely fastest lap of a 7:56.807. DSR Zero taking P2 with a 7:59.099. Rounding out our top three for Super Pole qualifying will be Drift King RC with a 7:59.955, followed by Philo Engineering with an 8:01.016, and close behind G Mantaneo. Rounding out our top five in the GTR Nismo with an 8:01.255. Moving down into P6 will be Bianco Spino with an 8:01.557, and rounding out our top seven for Super Pole will be the Porsche 911 with the 8:01.599. That is, yeah, there's not even 3 seconds. Actually, there's about 2 seconds separating P2 through 7. So that's a really close grid. What did you think about all that, Vlad?
Well, to be honest, I thought the first session was pretty phenomenal, but the drivers out there showing what is capable and what can happen when you are firmly on the very limits of the car, and the Finn certainly showing that with a very dominant display in qualifying. But even to the driver in 7th position, I think it was an 8:02, which is still a phenomenal lap time, and not to be scoffed at all. But yeah, certainly the driver showing the pedigree of what we can expect for tomorrow's race. Toon, I will have to shoot off because I have literally got a league race coming up in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to have to go. But thank you so much for letting me be a part of the commentary team and enjoying, what was a fantastic qualifying session ahead of this 24-hour race at Nürburgring.
Yeah, of course. So you're always welcome in the booth. Doors open for you, and you enjoy your league race. I will be watching very intently. Thank you for your time, bud.
Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
Right. Thank you, Toon and Vlad, for your comps. Great work. So that concludes the qualifying session for the GT Challenge race tomorrow. Crazy time, 7:56. Come on, must be joking. But yeah, here's the schedule for you. So Friday done and dusted now. So tomorrow we will be kicking off the event at 12:30 British summertime with the DTM Legends race. 6 laps around the Nürburgring 24-hour in those legendary Group A DTM cars from the late 80s, early 90s. And then starting at 14:50 British summertime, it's the big one. It's the 24 hours. Yeah. Plenty of racing action all Saturday, all Sunday. Well, you Europeans, that is. So have you covered for everything you need. So if you haven't already, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, you know the drill. Don't want to miss anything that's coming up over in the next couple of days in this one. Yeah, that's it from my side. Hope to see you soon tomorrow. And take care. Bye. Bye.